lot of these guys have expertise in one sport, so they get mad at me because, like, I don't focus on one sport. So it's like during, like, when it's not baseball season, I'm not doing baseball. Like, leave me alone with the baseball shit.
That's because you have ADD.
Well, okay, thank you. That would be ad for everybody out there. You guys ever see that movie, The Rocker?
Yes.
They were like,
of course.
Yeah, they were like, their initials for the band was like ADD or something. And he was like, wait, ad? No, ADD. No, whatever. Anyway, so, like, guys now will be questioning me about football and, aren't you going to join my football? I'm like, guy, football season's over. I'm not even going to think about football until August. And a lot of these guys, too, are mad at me because I won't talk really about the baseball stuff they want to talk about, even though it's already mid-March, well, close to mid-March, but because I have my way of doing things. And for those guys out there who don't understand what I'm doing, that's why I'm doing it and you're not. You know what I mean? And for those people who are telling me my show sucks or what do you know? Dude, how do you know me? Obviously, you're the one that knows me. Like, I don't know you, so why are you talking trash about me? So you got to think about that before you start talking trash to somebody. Mm-hmm. You got to understand, like, why would I care if you don't like me? And how do you know me? Is because of my show.
Well, if they are hating you, then why are they talking to you?
Yeah, I don't get it. And the best part is like, I respond with, like, a really nasty thing back.
Well, you're supposed to.
Right. I'm not one of those guys who'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, hey, keep it real, or hey, man, I'll fight you. I'm not like that. I will just be like, okay, you're a douchebag, leave me alone.
Well, I wonder if, because I know a lot of people right now have been drafting for their fantasy baseball teams, if they're not kind of mad because you didn't give them any help yet and they've already drafted.
Well, the thing is, you know what it is? You know what it is? I think it's a lot of times because these people who think they know more. Or, well, see, I'm not going to say, they're not saying who knows.
They don't have the radio show.
Yeah, but it's not even who knows more or who doesn't. It's more of, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, make sure you pick this guy. He's going to have a big season. Because, AKA, I mean, IE, not AKA, IE. I'm using my wrong initials here because I'm starting to get a little fired up. But I'm looking at a paid-for service, okay, by a major site. And I'm just going to read to you their 2008 fantasy preview of who the catcher was to get. And this guy you should have gotten the first couple rounds, Victor Martinez. Now, their projected stats for him were 28 home runs and 100 RBIs, something like that. But what did I end up doing? I mean, what did he end up doing for the year? I don't even think he played a quarter of the season. And that was their big advice. So these guys never go back. Go back and look at what guys did last year, and you'll understand my point. But anyway, so that's addressed to the haters. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to start doing some NCAA basketball stuff. Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
So what you're going to do, get Len on the phone.
Sure.
Get him in a couple minutes. I'm going to just start talking about some of the things I want to talk about, and then we'll get Len on, and we'll talk about some NCAA basketball stuff. But so this is what I wanted to talk about for NCAA basketball, what you guys can do. Now, I know there's no teams right now, so that you can't really tell you who to pick and who's your favorites, those kind of questions. Those kind of questions are more opinion stuff. I'm going to give you guys stuff that you can base your decision-making on. For when it comes to NCAA tournament picks, there's the tournament brackets, there's betting on it. I'm going to stick right now to just simple strategy of what to do when we're in an NCAA pool or if you're participating in any of these contests. Okay, when you're in a competition setting for the pools, okay, you have to consider what other people are picking. So this is not simply who's going to win, who you think is better, just pick the teams, because, the favorites and all this and that. You have to understand, to win these leagues, you have to gauge upsets. You have to gauge what everyone else might be picking. If everyone's picking something, you might have to try to go against that to win these kind of pools. So there's a strategy involved. It's not simply, so when someone says, oh, well, I got all this right and you didn't get any, how are you smarter than me? Well, because I stuck to a way of doing it, and you got to stick to a strategy. And when you're competing in these kind of tournaments, okay, you have to, it's not all the time who had the most rights, who picked the most amount of games right. It's who picked the right amount of upsets, or who picked the right amount that no one else did. So everyone might pick, obviously, the 16s to lose in the first round. I'm not saying now go be different and pick a 16 to win, but that being said, if not everybody's going to pick, novices will go ahead and just pick the 5s against the 12s and the 4s against the 13s, that kind of thing, because they're saying, hey, it's obvious who's going to pick the upsets, or everyone's going to hear a lot of 12s upsets, so they go to pick the 12s in the upset. Last year was an example where there was only like 3 upsets in the first round. So people who actually picked based on what they thought and what everyone else might be picking did a lot better than people who were just picking because they thought they knew better than everybody else. Does that make sense to anybody?
No, I understand what you're saying, definitely, but, That doesn't mean
Yeah, but I mean, just mean it's not. Yeah, I'm just saying it's not. Yeah, I'm just saying it's not as easy to say pick these and you'll do well. It's you got to make sure there's going to be everyone's going to have the same picks for a certain percentage of the picks, and it's that middle percent where these brackets are won or where these fantasy leagues are won. It's who can pick that upset better than who could find the upset that no one else saw.
Exactly.
So if you go along with what everyone else is saying, or you just follow what people are telling you, you're not going to do as well. You're not going to have as much of a chance to do as well as if you really try to think it through and think about where the upsets are and try to find those upsets rather than just, that's what everyone else did, so that's what I did. So if you're a novice to it, try to find the upsets rather than the most games pick. Now, another thing I want to get over is anyone can pick all the teams, but can you pick out the other people? Can you outpick other people? So that's really what I'm trying to say here, is you're not trying to pick the most right. You're trying to pick more right than the next guy. There's a big difference in that. You're not just trying to get them all right. You're just trying to get more right than the next guy. So you have to, again, like I said, look for those upsets. When you're picking games, you just have to pick the winners. Okay, so when it's a game picking thing, just pick the winners. Okay, don't look at all the numbers and all that other stuff. If you're just in the league where you're getting points for wins, just pick who you think is going to win. Don't worry about all these percentages and stuff. Now, picking against other people, you have to find the upsets. So if now you're in a situation where there's points for upsets and there's points for all these other things, now you have to strategize a different way. So know that these are two different strategies out there when you're doing brackets. It's not a simple just pick and go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Figure out a way to compete, because that's what you're actually in. You're in a competition setting.
And this is good advice, like for those people like do those office pools. They go for like 5, 6, 7 brackets just to get one matchup, right? I always thought why people would fill out so many brackets, but it's like just look for the specific matchups, and sometimes an upset will tell itself if you look at certain matchups and like how they're seeded, like an 8-9 matchup. Not much of an upset as much as a 2 and 15.
Right.
So it's like, for me, I would take my chances with a 2 and 15 because that would be more of a bigger upset.
Right. It's got to be calculated, though. It's got to be. You can't just do a 15 to be different. You got to pick. If you're going to pick a 15, you better make sure though that you didn't think that 2 was going to make it past another round. So when you go to pick the upsets, go around ahead and say, okay, here's where the upset works, because this 2, all right, even if they beat this 15 and I'm wrong there, I have them losing to that next team, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? Like if in your head you think they're going to lose that next round, then that's a good upset to pick. But if you feel that this 2, if they beat if the 15 is the only game that if they pass that game and then they go on and win the next 2-3 games, you're going to screw up your whole bracket. You have to. It's got to be calculated risks, and that's why. Here's another advice: if you're entering pools that are free, make sure there's a limit on how many brackets they can put in, because people will put in every combination. And if you're paying for a league, make sure there's a limit too on how many people can put in, because somebody will, just because they have more money, will be able. Let's say someone has $100 to spend and it's $10 a bracket. They put in 10 different combinations, and you've only got $20 to spend, so you put in 2. Your 2 are most likely not going to win. That guy's going to have 10 shots at winning. So make sure there's some sort of limit on it. If you're in a free league and it's just to see who's going to get a perfect bracket, good luck. Go up against a million people, win nothing, because the chances of winning comes down to pure luck. Because guys who pick every game right in the NCAA tournament cannot tell me they knew every game. A lot of those guys, there had to be a lot of luck involved there, and so you try to eliminate luck in these things. Okay,
well, that's why we can go to the sportsmadness.com.
Right, and that's why we have Len on again. Len, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Dick.
All right, Len, you're following along with anything I'm saying there? Am I boring you, or I mean, I didn't mean to keep you on hold for that long. What do you think about any things that I was just mentioning?
Well, I hear you talking about brackets, and when I hear brackets, my motto is save the drama for your mama. I mean, it's really cute that you can play against your whole family, and you get the office secretary involved, and everybody's playing for fun. But if you're a true college basketball fan and love fantasy sports, then you got to play the game, my fantasy games, on fantasysportsmadness.com.
Okay, so fantasysportsmadness.com. Tell them a little bit again. I mean, I know we mentioned this last week to them. Let them know again what options you're giving them that are different from what we're talking about. Is just those brackets that can be just very simple and a lot of luck. What you've got is more of a skilled game, and like you said, for the college basketball fans, let them know exactly again the 2 options they have and